Hey everyone, I'm hoping this video finds you safe and healthy this week in the 7th, 8th week of quarantine during the pandemic here. So let me set the story up, and it's going to be real short. The girls, Heather was about 20 months old, Nicole was probably a couple of months old. We lived in Hardy. 2-bedroom house there. On the back porch we didn't have a regular laundry room. On the back porch is where you could find the washer and the dryer. And so this day, it was very cold. It was winter time. It was very cold. There was snow on the ground, and I was going to do some laundry. So I, of course, have a t-shirt and some shorts on because I'm just lounging around the house with the girls. And I go outside to put the laundry in the washing machine, and when I did, the door closes behind me and I hear it lock, and I'm flipping out. So I run over to the door and I see Heather standing there, and she just is smiling at me through the glass like that, and I'm picking on the door saying, "Heather, open the door, Heather," and she's just smiling at me. And so I'm like, okay, I've got to think fast because Heather's in there along with the baby, and she could like pick her up or hurt her or something. So I decide to walk around the house and see if the front door is open. But mind you, I'm barefooted and there's snow on the ground. So I'm walking through the snow, going around to the front door. Front door's locked, of course. And so I'm like, okay, what can I do? So this was time before there were cell phones, and I decided to go over to the neighbor's house and call Chris and have him come and open the door for us. And so I run through the snow in my bare feet over to the neighbor's house. When they open the door, of course, they're looking at me like I'm stupid, right? Because here I am in a t-shirt and shorts, no shoes. And I'm like, "Can I use your phone to call my husband?" I says, "My 20-month-old has locked me out of the house." Of course, I'm in a panic. And so they let me in, and I use the phone. I call Chris. And I'm like, okay, what do I need to do? So I decided to go back over to the house and stand at the front door, because if I could keep her attention, possibly that would keep her from hurting the baby, trying to pick the baby up or something. So I run back to the house through the snow in my bare feet, trying to step, of course, in the steps I had already made. Get to the house, I open the glass door on the front of the house and stand between the glass door and the front door. And I'm looking at Heather. Now, this door has a blind on it. So I'm having to try to see her through this little crack that get, of course, the blind sitting away from the door. And I'm looking at her going, "Heather, Heather." And I'm like singing to her and doing all these different things just to keep her attention until Daddy got home. Well, he pulls up in the car, and of course, he sees me standing between the glass door and the front door, and he's just getting out of the vehicle, just shaking his head like that, And he finally comes up and he said, "How did this happen?" And I'm like, "Heather locked the door." And he's going, "Yeah, right." And I'm like, "She did. She locked the door." So he's questioning me the whole time. But anyway, we finally get into the house, and, you don't know whether to beat the baby or hold the baby because you're so scared. Well, how am I going to relate this to pointing to him? Well, I don't know about y'all, but in the last few weeks, I have felt like I have been standing outside the door, pecking on the glass, wanting to get in. How about you? Different places that you want to go. For some people, it's shopping, TJ Maxx, a restaurant, Walmart without a mask, church. I don't know about y'all, but I have felt that way about church. Now, of course, we've had church service. We had a few on Facebook, and then they got the FM transmitter, and we actually started having drive-in church. And last week, our preacher, he preached a sermon, and he said that he himself has become discouraged and questioned whether this has been good for the people, because the thing is, you don't have an altar call. People have not been saved. People have not been baptized, those types of things. But I hope he understands that just seeing those people in that parking lot has been an encouragement to me. Why? If I see them, I know they're safe in my mind. And I do that even when I'm sitting in the pew. Have you ever had somebody who's missing on the pew and you go, "Oh, I wonder where they're at. Hopefully they're okay," And a lot of times I don't take the initiative from that Holy Spirit to contact them to make sure they're okay, which I do need to do. But anyway, I started thinking about the verse that everybody quotes when you talk about coming together as a church and Christians. And it's in Hebrews 10:25, and it states, not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together. And what do we do? Most of the time we stop there. Not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together. Yeah. Let's continue on in the verse. It says, as the manner of some is, but exhorting one another. And so much the more as you see the day approaching. It's talking about the Lord coming back. And I don't know about y'all, but definitely all this stuff has made me feel like that the end of the world is coming very quickly, that the Lord's coming back soon. So I think it's so important for us to be in our churches encouraging each other. And, you know, it states there too, not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together as the manner of some is. Have you ever seen people who don't have a church family, who don't go to church? And it's almost like you can tell they yearn for something, like they need something inside of them. And that's what the Lord does for you. He fulfills that. He fulfills that. He helps encourage you when you're there amongst your fellow Christians and church family. So this week, as we get to go back to church, for some of us, they're choosing not to go back, but for some, you're going to get to go back this week. Feel blessed and never forget this time. We have to keep this fresh in our forefront to remember what it felt like not to get to go to church. So this week, as you go to church and you're encouraging the person in the pew next to you, make sure that you're pointing to Him. Love you guys, and I will see you next time.